Should we keep all this dirt? And why we need a roof? Thực sự đang không biết nên làm beacon trước hay là làm XP farm trước. Oh, the beacon's so pretty though. Sẽ làm sẽ làm kiểu cycle through colors. Yeah. That's very nice. Giờ netherite tool thì làm cái nào trước nhỉ? Làm tool nào trước nhỉ? Damage cũng chả quan trọng lắm. I just use beds. Yeah, I'm thinking of that too. Nó không mend được. Yeah. Maybe anh lấy cái netherite đầu tiên. Có một cái nằm sẵn ở nhà đấy. Bây giờ cần lấy rồi, cần thì em lấy. Fuck. Yeah, nhưng mà chưa có upgrade template đâu, mới có thể phải chạy là Bastion thôi. Mine now rồi đấy. Mấy cây tự sát đi. Fuck. There, you happy? Oh wait, it's raining. I can't burn them all down. I said we try though. Kiếm chấm nhanh nhỉ, what the hell? Nó đang đứng gần, nó chạm vào nó giật luôn. Hình như em đang kiểu make it worse với mấy cái. I just double jumped. em sửa xong cái đống gỗ em trái bát sửa phát thì đã upgrade. Grow up so fast. But why are you using walls? You could just use fence. Right. No, I'm safe fence one. You're not the king. I'm the king. But actually, what the fuck? What did you say? The what word? Damn. Cay mẹ em kiểu stream đéo rồi có chat đây, em dạo em lười em đéo bật chat nữa, xong rồi hôm nay có Kaya Lê nhắn bảo vừa chơi Minecraft đọc Red Story đi. Reddit. Holy shit. Sâm nó đánh vào cái cầu thang của anh, nó cháy con mẹ lên. Em nghĩ em sẽ em sẽ bật thêm một cái Windows nữa, sao em để Reddit Story, chắc mấy không bị copyright rồi nhỉ? Cái sao mà copyright được, đúng không? Okay. Bây giờ em sẽ để một cái một cái xong để audio Reddit Stories. One hour long. Có anh nào mà có anh nào em
moment you realized you were being used. I had known
em bật Reddit Stories nhưng mà em không nghe tiếng không nhỉ, nhưng mà chỉ stream nghe tiếng.
Michelle since childhood. She was always a bit snobbish and was desperate to be part of the in crowd in high school, but they wanted little to do with her, put off by her superior attitude. I never realized that she only hung out with me because she didn't have anything else to do until after high school. We would make plans to hang out together, but if something better came along, she would ditch me. It was like everyone could see that she was a bad friend except for me. She changed even further when she met a nice guy and decided to settle down with him. Everything revolved around her fiancé. Maybe because she had never had a real boyfriend before. I don't know. All I knew was that she stopped texting me to hang out, and when I texted her, she was always busy. I was invited to the wedding and I went solo as I did not have a date at the time. The bridal side of the wedding party consisted of her sister and her two gay guy friends. One of those friends later told me that they were only in the wedding party because she wanted to make a statement. I had a good time chatting with her family and intended to leave the wedding at about 11 p.m. to go back to my hotel room. Michelle came up to me at 10:30 and asked if I would drive her and her new husband to their lodging for the night. I'm the kind of person who would never leave a friend high and dry, so I agreed to drive her and her husband to wherever they needed to go. I went out to my car and made sure there was room for extra passengers. Then I went back inside to wait for them. 12:30 a.m. passed, then 1 a.m., The two gay guys drove back to the hotel and texted me to tell me to drive safe as it had gotten foggy. 2 a.m. came, and at this time, most of the guests had left. 3 a.m., I'm assisting in the cleanup. Meanwhile, Michelle and her siblings are drunkenly singing along to Michelle's iPod. She had been too cheap to get a DJ. As I helped her dad take out the garbage, he looks at me with pity in his eyes and he tells me, "You're a good friend, Ashley." At 4 a.m., the bride and groom are finally ready to call it a night. I drove them to their lodging, about a half hour out of my way, and then went back to my hotel. Michelle didn't contact me again for months, and any texts I sent her were either ignored or rejected. A few months after I started dating my now husband, we went to visit a different friend and she was there too. She was very rude to my boyfriend. We all knew each other in high school and she scorned him because he was a geek back then. He wasn't popular. After that, we had little contact and she never offered a congratulations when I got engaged. I would have thought that she would have liked the way he proposed, as he used a Harry Potter wand, and both Michelle and I had been huge fans of the series. But she said nothing. I saw her once in the springtime. Before I sent out my invitations, she was helping her grandmother clean up her yard as I was driving by with my fiancé. I pulled over. I had a nice chat with her grandmother, but Michelle wouldn't look me in the eye and shut down any conversation I attempted to have with her. Finally, my fiancé urged me to go, so we continued driving to my parents' place. As we are there, my fiancé tells my mom about the exchange. She was trying her heart out to talk to Michelle and that bitch just ignored her. My mom agreed that she had always disliked Michelle for the way she always treated me. I was slowly opening my eyes to who Michelle really was. I debated even inviting her to my wedding. I decided to be the bigger person and put the invite in the mail. The next day, my maid of honor, who also knew Michelle since childhood, asked if I was inviting Michelle. Apparently Michelle told her that even if she wasn't invited, she would crash my wedding. I said that I sent her an invite, so that dashed her plans of making a scene. Michelle texted me and told me she would be coming to the wedding. I also invited Michelle's parents to my wedding, and about 2 months before my wedding, her mom said, "Thank you, but we are going to be away that weekend. We have to go clean up Michelle's grandpa's old cabin. It's been 11 years since he passed, and my brother and I have finally made plans to do it now. I will send my card with Michelle. Have a great day and congratulations." 5 days before the wedding, we are getting the final numbers for the caterer. I texted Michelle to confirm that she and her husband were still intending on coming, as I didn't have an official RSVP. She texted me back, "That was the plan. However, last-minute plans were made to go through some of my grandpa's things, which I should really be part of. I meant to text you earlier than today." Reading that text brought back every single excuse she had ever given me when she had something better come along whenever we had made plans to hang out or do something. I knew very well that the plans to go sort through her grandpa's things were not last minute. I knew very well that had I not texted her, she would not have texted me and would have just been a no-show, and I would have had to pay for the uneaten food. I finally realized that she was not a friend to me. She would use me unless something better came along. Suddenly her father's pity for me after Michelle's wedding made sense. He knew that she was using me and I was too naive to see it. He knew that she regarded me as a last resort, someone who would always help her out unquestioningly, but was not worthy of her time. I texted back, "Do what you've got to do." I get it, and I finally did. I finally knew what kind of person she was. It was the last thing I ever texted or said to her. That was 3 years ago. In that time, I've gone on to have a sweet baby boy. She got divorced because she was cheating on her husband. I guess something better came along there too. What's a rule your employer implemented that backfired terribly? Many years ago, I worked at a factory that did plastic and wax injection molding. The guy running the place had worked there since he was in his early 20s, so you'd think he'd have a good handle on how things were done. The problem with his leadership was that he had come up through the ranks as a salesman. He spent little to no time actually doing engineering or production. He was a wonderful salesman and a couple times landed contracts that were a great boon to the company. The man had a gift. He could have sold manure to a cattle farmer. One of his biggest contracts was a government contract. We were going to be making parts for the US military. During wartime, these types of contracts are as good as they come. The type of high-demand production runs that fill bank accounts. Workers were asked to work a minimum of 60 hours a week, with unlimited overtime pre-approved. Some of us younger workers were working 80-plus hours a week, only going home during the work week to get some sleep, then coming right back at 5 a.m. Bank. I was running a machine that made a part. We'll call it Widget X. Well, Widget X was a fairly large part that required a lengthy cooldown phase. You can't just inject molten wax into a mold and expect it to hold shape until it is properly cooled. We only had one machine that was large enough to make Widget X, so it ran 24/7. A few months into the production run, management was in a bit of a panic. Widget X was one of the most important parts of the contract and we were falling behind on production schedule. Engineering and quality control were asked to find a way to speed up production, but they told management the biggest time sink was in the cooling phase. There just wasn't any way around that. If they lowered the temperature of the wax, it would be too thick upon injection and break the fragile ceramic cores in the mold. If they actively cooled the dye, the wax would solidify unevenly and cause warping. Mr. Leader, despite the fact that he had oversold our production capabilities, insisted that there was a way to increase output to meet demand. So he began looking into each and every step of the process. Back to me running the machine. As I said, there was a very lengthy cooldown phase where the machine remained locked shut until the part was ready. During this phase, I took a little time to pick a new CD to listen to while working. I said this was many years ago. Seeing me clicking around with my Discman, Mr. Leader went into a fit of rage. No wonder we're so far behind schedule. That's it. No more listening to music while working. We need to get back on track, and I don't want to see another set of headphones in this place until we do. If you've never done it before, injection molding has to be one of the most boring jobs on the planet. You press the 2 start buttons, wait for the machine to close, do its thing, then wait some more until the part is ready. You remove the part, push the buttons again, and wait. That's the whole job. Music was one of the few things that made the job bearable. We could disappear into our own heads and only surface every few minutes to restart the process. Now that we couldn't do that, the boredom was up in our face. Staring at a giant metal press for 5 to 15 minutes at a time was dull. Very dull. So, we had to find ways to amuse our minds for that time. Being the social creatures that we are, we turned to our neighbors and began talking to each other. The problem is that machine shops are really noisy. In order to have a conversation that is not at a scream, we'd often have to take a few steps toward our neighbor. This, as you could imagine, meant that the machine operator's attention was not focused on the machine they were running, but on their conversations. Then when the machine was done running, they'd take a few seconds to finish their sentence and walk back to their machines. Production slowed. In cases like the machine I was running, not by much. However, some of the smaller parts only had 30 to 60 seconds run times. An additional 10 seconds per part added up very quickly. Now parts that were running on time were running behind. 2 weeks into the new rule, the owner of the company paid our department a visit. This almost never happened. He was always in his office on the phone or out on business. He had found out that every single part we were working on had fallen behind and wanted to know why. Mr. Leader had fed him a line that he didn't buy for a second and was going to figure it out himself. Luckily, the owner of the company understood production because he had done it early in his career. He knew how boring the job was and that asking employees to sit and stare while doing nothing was cruel. He rescinded the no music policy immediately and production resumed at a normal pace. He also then called one of his friends in the business and subcontracted some of the production of Widget X to him. In the end, nothing changed about how fast we could produce Widget X, but at least the rest of the contracts were back on schedule and we could listen to music again. As a teacher, have you ever been pressured to fix grades? I'd say about every other year, I get some feedback from parents or students to change a grade. Last June took the cake. I had a student. He did okay. When he did the work about half the time. He was late every day. He had a bit of an attitude. He is required to pass the class to graduate. I called him up several times over the semester to discuss his grade and these discussions were generally ignored. I said, if you do your work from now until spring break, I'll let you make up the missing work so you can pass with a good grade. Nothing changed. No problems for me. When all was said and done, he had a solid 60.3% going into the final. I told him the final was pass/fail for him. Pretty much any fail would drop his grade, and he would not be allowed to graduate. He says, no big deal, I've got it. Well, he didn't quite have it. He scored 39% on the final. He failed. He comes in to see me the day after the final, the day before the grade is due. Can I make up some work? Can I do some extra credit? Is there anything I can do? I reply, no, I'm sorry. I gave you several chances to make up your missing work. You ignored them. I told you it was do or die on the final. You died. Now, your counselor will suggest summer school. You are smart enough to take this class at the community college and get both college and high school grades for this. I know you were planning on community college anyway. That would be the smart way to go. But I have family coming from out of town. Okay, I need to pass. I feel bad about that, because you are not passing. He leaves and about 30 minutes later, the head dean comes in and says, his father is a good friend of mine. Is there anything we can do? I say, sorry, I gave him a chance to make up the work. He refused to do that. For me, this is finished. We chat a bit more, and he takes off. About 15 minutes later, there is a commotion outside my room. The kid is there with his mother and a security guard. The guard says, they say you have a meeting scheduled with them now. I say, I don't have any meetings scheduled today. I don't need to talk to them. This discussion is over. I close the door and the guard escorts them from campus. About 30 minutes later, the AP in charge of my department is at my door, asking, what's going on with George? He failed. Is there anything he can do? No. And to be honest, I don't like being questioned about this. He failed. That's that. I am not questioning you. I just want to know what's going on. I then said, and that is a question. He failed. You can support me or not, but that isn't going to change.
Yeah.
We are in California. Only teachers are allowed to assign or change grades. He left, and as he was leaving, I said, you know, if he put in half this effort this semester, he would have passed. It bothers me that everyone is coming down to discuss this with me. I've been teaching 30 years. I kind of know what I am doing. I go off to take care of some paperwork, and return to my room 15 minutes later, and the principal is waiting outside my room. I enter my room and he comes in with me. I close the door, and he says, George is failing. His mother is in my office saying you won't speak to her. Why won't you let him pass? I say, well, I won't speak to her because they lied to a security guard to get to my room, and there really isn't anything to talk about. He failed the class. You can review his grades online. I'll be honest with you, I really resent you questioning me about this. I assign grades based on how they do on their work. I don't need to rationalize my grades to the dean, the AP, and to you. Either I know how to do my job, and you let me do it, or I don't know how to do my job and you put me on a corrective program so I can do it to your satisfaction. This backroom questioning of the grades I assign isn't right, and isn't how we are supposed to be doing our job. Now, do you think I know how to do my job? He said, yes, but I interrupted him. Then let me do it. I am willing to listen to input if you know how I can do it better than I am doing it now. But this really can't continue like this. We need to have a discussion at this school about what is appropriate for administrative interaction. This isn't the time or the place, but this can't continue. He apologized and left. I come to find out that the kid threatened to beat me down if he sees me again. He's 5 feet 11 inches 145 pounds. I am 6 feet 5 inches 250 pounds. I wish him luck with that. Have you ever accidentally met a celebrity who went above and beyond to help you? About 5 years ago, I had a wedding to go to in Chicago. I bought a gorgeous, long formal dress, and being that I am pretty short I needed to get the dress tailored. I called the local tailor in my town and was quoted $18 to fix my dress. When I arrived at the tailor, the man began measuring and drawing with chalk on my dress. At this time a handsome, impeccably dressed man came into the shop. I noticed that he seemed kind of boisterous with a look at me personality, but he was in no way rude or unkind. I just assumed he was a rich man that was used to people catering to him and being the center of attention. But he was not off-putting or anything. I did notice that the tailor totally stopped taking care of me so he could fawn and cater to the rich man instead of me, even though he was in the middle of marking my dress when the man came in. I did find the tailor extremely rude for this behavior, but I was so excited about my new dress I just put up with it and did not cause a scene. After several long minutes the tailor finally returned to me and began to tell me that my dress was going to cost $100 to him, even though he had quoted me $18 over the phone and none of the stats for the dress had changed. He only needed to take it up a half an inch. I immediately knew he was trying to rip me off and I began to get quite upset. Then the handsome stranger, overhearing that I could not afford to pay $100 for my dress to be tailored, came to the rescue and offered to pay for the dress himself so my night would not be ruined. I thought it was so sweet and I introduced myself to him. The man put out his hand and introduced himself as Michael Irvin. I am not a sports fan, but of course I knew that name right away from Dallas Cowboys fame. I was very embarrassed that I did not know who he was on site, but he was so sweet and even wrote his autograph on the back of the receipt of my dress that he just shelled out $100 for. He then stood around and chatted with me and my ex-husband for about 20 minutes like we were old friends. I will say he seemed a little turned off that we did not know who he was right away, but he was just as sweet as could be. Now the kicker is that whenever I came to pick my dress up a couple of days later from the tailor, he again charged me $100 even though he clearly remembered the situation, and I had the receipt with Mr. Irvin's autograph on the back. Mr. Irvin even told my ex-husband and me that he had been using this tailor for many years, so of course the tailor knew him and would not have forgotten that Mr. Irvin paid for my dress. He refused to give me back my dress until I paid him the $100. I tried to get him to call Mr. Irvin to confirm that he did pay for this, but it would have been pointless because the man totally remembered the situation and already knew who Mr. Irvin was and that my dress was paid for by him. There was no way he forgot that this happened in his store in front of his face. Even though I should not have, I coughed up the other $100 just to get my dress back so I could catch my flight the next day. So in the end the tailor ended up making $200 off, making my dress a half of an inch shorter because he got paid twice, even though it should have only cost me $18. I have always hoped that one of these days I would run back into Mr. Irvin and be able to tell him what the tailor did to me, especially being that this was his regular tailor that he used all of the time. I would love for him to know the type of person that the tailor really is and that he rips off his customers. Anyway, going through the whole experience was totally worth it just to meet such a nice guy with a good heart trying to do good in the world. I'm still not a football fan, but I am a fan of Mr. Michael Irvin as a person now. If any of you ever run into him I hope you remember the story and relay it back to him and he can find a new tailor that's not such a shitty person. Have you ever been convinced with just try it once and regretted it? Women and, most, steroids do not mix. My boyfriend is a professional bodybuilder, and I've always enjoyed weight training in the gym, so I figured, hey, why not? I live in a South American country, so having curves is a part of the culture. Being that I have been a tall, very slim gal all my life, I wanted to see what it was like to have some womanly curves and experiment with the unknown. How bad could a little bit be? I started with one bottle of something called cystanin, which is a mix of different types of testosterone compounds. I injected twice a week for a month, and holy crap, after 1 week, I felt a huge difference. Not only in my training was I able to last longer, lift a bit heavier each day, but I started to feel different inside my own mind and body. I will say that despite the fact that I would come to regret my choice, I can at least take away something interesting from the experience, and that is to have a peek into what it feels like being a man. I was very attuned to the changes I was undergoing, and the horny feeling was really out of control. It was as if I had some sort of alarm going off inside my pants, like a beacon that was sending out signals and would not shut off, no matter where I was or what I was doing. I literally could not concentrate at work, I was totally distracted, and I think if I was a single man I might have impregnated a lot of women in that time. Also, I found that I was not as emotional, things did not bother me as much and I felt very confident, especially in the gym. Testosterone really is like a turbo kick, no wonder men who are aging feel a part of themselves missing with less flowing in their bodies. I finished the first bottle in 1 month, and started a second bottle, this time DECA Durabolin. This one is known to make you gain weight quickly, but if you train it puts the weight in all the right spots. I most certainly gained a butt in this period, as I had absolutely nothing back there when I first started. I also became very strong, and I really loved the feeling. But, the side effects started to increase by the first week into the second bottle. My skin became noticeably thicker and more oily, and congested on the cheeks. I started to see some hair coming on my chin, and the upper part of my thighs had dark hair where I normally didn't. My back started to break out in acne, not so extreme at first, but it was there, and my body started to feel swollen. I had a hard time to even put my arms behind myself as it felt like I was going to burst. My ankles also were swollen so much that I had to take 2 days off of work and go to a doctor, as there was fluid buildup there. It went away on its own, and it was painful to walk long distances. Eventually I decided to stop the injections halfway through the second bottle, and then that's when my hell started. My skin had never been perfect, but I had it looking pretty nice up until this point. Suddenly, a few weeks after the last injections, my skin erupted all over my back, face, chest, and even on my arms and shoulders with cystic acne. Eventually, my jawline and cheeks would be covered in huge, painful red lesions, where it felt so tight and sore it hurt to even move my facial muscles. My cousin saw me on a trip to America and said my jawline also looked different, more masculine, and my voice had deepened a bit. I chalked it off to a cold, but I confided in my cousin only of my experiment. Obviously, he said stop now, even though I already had. I went through 6 months of just getting rid of the active cystic acne infection, dealing with inflamed skin, and yes, I did pop some of them. Yes, I know it's the worst thing I could do, and I swear that every single day I had at least 2 people come to me and ask me what the hell happened to my skin. Every day. So not only did I see a stranger in the mirror, a face ravaged and rife with irritation, but my self-confidence was at an all-time low. Never have I felt so terrible about myself, and never would I try that again. 2 years later, I still have scarring and my skin is not as smooth or even as it originally was. I feel I even lost fat in my face from the hormonal changes. Oh, and my period stopped for 4 months too, but I thankfully have a medication that has left me acne-free for the past year. It was stupidity combined with a lack of research on both the part of me and my boyfriend to have me try testosterone and highly androgenic steroids, and despite the fact that I got the body that I was looking for in a matter of 2 months, the price to pay was much higher than I expected. I regret it, but again, everything in life is a learning experience. It could have been worse, I guess. Are you still in touch with the first person you ever dated? No, as he's serving a federal prison sentence. We met in college, a Christian college I might add. We had a class together by accident. That Christmas he asked me out to holiday banquet. Very formal affair. We didn't see each other for long when we decided being friends was for the best. And we were. Except, his idea of friendship was an awkward, suffocating experience. He constantly called or dropped by when I was at work. He worked nights while I worked days. I swear I don't know when he slept. And because he was up all night at work he would call me in the dead of night. If I didn't answer he would continue calling until I either answered or silenced my phone. I had a group of people from college that was friends with. About 15 of us would get together on weekends. Well, Paul, not his name, would ask to be invited. I did, to be kind, but I wondered sometimes if a day could pass where I didn't have communication with him in some way. Time passed and we all graduated college and moved in our lives. But Paul moved about 10 miles away from where I ended up living. Great, he was still everywhere I was. He joined the same church as me and started showing up at my job all the time again. Finally I sat him down. I explained that I needed some space. I needed some time where he wasn't always where I was. I wanted to date and get married eventually, but I couldn't because he was around me so much that men assumed we were dating. He was crushed. If you get married your husband won't want me to talk to you. You can't do that. He complained. Yeah, that's the idea of marriage, where you choose one man to be faithful to. Yep, he probably won't want me seeing another man every single day. That is true. Little did I know I'd just set a ticking time bomb. I took a vacation with some friends, a married couple. We were gone for 2 weeks. I turned my phone off. My gosh, I'd forgotten what life was like to not have it constantly ringing. But when I returned I was greeted with his intense anger. Where had I been? What had I done? How late had I stayed out? Had I met any men? Had I gone on dates? He peppered me with questions as if he were a jealous lover and not merely a good guy friend. I stopped him. I explained that my private life wasn't any of his business. That if I went on dates or met someone I wasn't required to report to him. He lost it, screaming, yelling, throwing things. That's it. Enough. You have gone too far and I have had enough. We need to go our separate ways. I hate to say it because we've been friends for years, but you cannot act this way. It isn't appropriate and you've crossed my boundaries too many times. For 2 weeks I heard nothing from him. I was starting to relax when, ring, ring, ring. It was the weekend and I was up late watching a movie when my phone started ringing from an unknown number. Curiosity got the better of me and I answered. I'm going to bill you. I'm going to cut you into tiny pieces and, I interrupted the strange whispered voice. Who the heck are you and what do you think you're doing calling me in the middle of the night? I used my stern teacher voice. Click. The phone went dead. I pulled out my .380 handgun and loaded it. I placed it in my nightstand and went to sleep. Monday morning when I arrived at work I was met by some coworkers that were concerned. Annie, you need to hear this. I was told and followed them to the school office. Someone dialed the voicemail on the phone and put it on speakerphone. Over and over, one after another were voice recordings in garbled or whispered voices threatening to bill me, calling me a whore and worse, growling into the phone. It had filled up the voice mailbox. My heart sunk. I knew deep down who it was. My boss called me into his office. He had a background in security. Not security as in a mall cop or a security system for your home, but security, the kind involving the alphabet agencies of government and the military. Who is targeting you? Do you know? He asked. Oh yeah, I knew. And he knew him too. The police got involved and phone records were pulled, but the calls came from prepaid phones under no name.
Oh my god.
We knew who it was but had no
I
proof.
need to go take
Meanwhile,
a fucking
every
shit
night he
right
filled
now.
up the
Oh
voicemails
my
of my
god.
phone and my work phone. Then I was walking across the parking lot of Walmart when I felt someone's eyes on me. I looked up to see his truck flying across the parking lot and into the road. Oh my god, he's following me now? I couldn't prove it, but he began showing up in public places at the same time as me. What could I do? It was in public, so it wasn't like I could complain when he had a right to be there as much as anyone else. Until one Friday night, a group of friends and I went out to eat. It was a group of men and women, and while some of them were dating, I wasn't dating anyone. But one of the guys did sit across from me. Before we even had our food, Paul stormed into the restaurant and was in my face shouting about how dare I date that man and I was a whore, and the restaurant was silent except for Paul. I was beyond embarrassed. The man sitting across from me stood up and grabbed Paul by the arm, unceremoniously dragging him outside. 10 minutes later, my friend returned while Paul didn't. I didn't ask, but I'm pretty sure Paul had the beatdown of the century because the other guy promised me Paul would be too afraid to hurt me now. For a few days I had peace, but then he was back at it again. And now I wasn't the only target. My friends started receiving the calls too. They shared voice recordings from their phones with me. She's a B. She's a ST. She's a W. We all knew she was me. And then one day it stopped. Everything stopped and eventually I started breathing again. Until about 6 months later, a man I worked with called me. Annie, turn on the local 6 o'clock news. Now, he said. I switched my TV over and nearly dropped my phone. There was Paul's face splashed across the screen. Paul Michelson, 28, was arrested today. He is accused of violating a restraining order, being weird, and touching. Michelson confessed to all charges. I listened to the news anchor recount the gruesome story of how he'd taken a woman to a hotel room and brutally attacked and touched her. She survived and managed to escape the room, and another hotel guest helped her call 911. Paul admitted to police that he had intended to bill her. Police even stated they were shocked at how much he admitted. They didn't even have to interrogate him. He voluntarily poured out the whole story. It seems I had found peace because he had found another woman to harass. I've changed names to protect his family, who were kind people and always treated me well. It isn't their fault he became the man he is. It has been many, many years since he was sentenced to prison. I believe he comes up for parole in 2024. I hope he doesn't get it. I've mentioned here before that I've only ever dated older men. Paul was the one exception to that, though we stopped dating years before his arrest. What supplement do you take that would make everyone's life better? Not for everyone. But guys, let me put you on. This is how a supplement helped me get revenge on my cheating ex-girlfriend by hooking up with her best friend. I had always been a scrawny and unconfident guy, though I'm tall and have fluffy hair, so I found myself with a girlfriend, Sarah, my freshman year of high school. Sarah was the stereotypical mean girl and would try and have as much attention on her as possible. I was just her trophy boyfriend, as she would always order me around and not actually talk to me very much. Looking back, the relationship was doomed to fail. But how it ended really changed me. I was on the basketball team for my school with my friend Gabe. Gabe was a good-looking guy. We were about the same height, but he had more muscle than I did and was more confident than myself. I would often see him kind of flirting with Sarah in class and in the hallways, but when I would ask her about it, she would just brush it off and tell me I was being insecure. I also never confronted Gabe about it because I was too scared of any confrontation. Then, the next few days that ensued, changed me. One night I was feeling lonely because Sarah had left me on read like she always did, so I decided to FaceTime her. When she picked up, I instantly knew something was off. She wasn't in her house and there was a basketball poster on the wall behind her, which made me realize she was at another boy's house. I asked her where she was, but before she even answered, I heard Gabe's voice in the background asking who she was on call with. She covered her mouth and instantly hung up. That was it. I was fed up and took my only initiative in the entire relationship, which was to break up. Worst part was, she didn't even try to explain the situation, which confirmed she was cheating in my mind. The next day at school, literally the next day, I got all the confirmation I needed. I was walking down the hallway, turned a corner, and saw Gabe and Sarah making out in the corner of some lockers. I ran to the nurses claiming I was sick and needed to leave, but in actuality I was just completely broken. I had my pride ripped out of me and felt like a hollow shell of a man. That night I was mindlessly scrolling through TikTok and came across this advert, Kingmaker, a testosterone boosting supplement. This is something I would normally ignore because of my pride, but I was at such a low point, so I looked more into it. I knew I had low testosterone because I would consistently go to the gym and get no results, so this piqued my interest, and I decided to go on Amazon and buy it. The day it came, I took it and I instantly felt different. My energy levels and overall confidence were through the roof. In a day I had turned from a pathetic sad loser to feeling like I could take on the world. I began hitting the gym again and started talking to multiple girls on Snap. A bunch of girls were interested in me, but I had my sights set on one in particular, Emily. Emily is a bad as F blonde and Sarah's best friend. I was determined to get with this girl and make sure Sarah knew about it so I could have my revenge. After about 3 weeks of talking on Snap and a couple dates, I invited her over to my house. And she said yes. When she arrived, we got right into it. My SX drive was through the roof, so we went multiple rounds. When I was hitting from the back, I took a video and sent it to Sarah, with the caption, "Better than you ever were." She opened it right away, then blocked me. Apparently after the fact, her and Emily got into a huge fight and aren't friends anymore. But that doesn't matter to me because I got my revenge, am now bigger and stronger than Gabe, and still get with Emily whenever I want. What is the pettiest notice you've received from your homeowners association? When I bought my home in southern Arizona, it was never disclosed that it was in an HOA neighborhood. I discovered this when I received a certified package with a poorly Xeroxed copy of 3 inches of loose paper expounding on the rules and rights of the HOA. And a bill for the past year that the home had been in foreclosure. I paid from the date of the notice only. Over the years though, HOA notices have included 1. Visible weeds. I have a rock and cactus landscape front yard.
What are you doing?
The only time weeds are there is right after monsoons, when each and every house gets the same notice, whether you actually have weeds or not.
Shit.
2. Tree branches overhang the sidewalk too low. I have a
not
large
really
mesquite
solid.
tree. I had to stand on a ladder to
A
reach
little
the
bit-
offending
a little bit
branches to
solid.
trim. 3. A noxious weed in my yard. Thankfully, sarcasm, they included a photo,
Acceptable.
because for the 4
Yeah,
previous
but
years,
healthy.
said noxious weed had been a regularly pruned bush, part of the landscape. 4. A car parked on the street when there was open space in my driveway.
Yeah,
Again,
fuck.
southern Arizona, so super hot. And again, I have a tree, so shade. The neighbor's maid would park her car under my tree in the street. 5. Visible trash receptacle on a specific day. Thanks HOA for noticing that I had my trash can out on the street on my trash pickup day. 6. Visible trash receptacles. The neighbor closest to my driveway kept his trash cans beside his house in the open. One had blown over into my
What the
property.
hell?
7. Unapproved mailbox.
Oh,
the mailbox
shit.
was there when I arrived. It does not look like the others in the cul-de-sac because those houses were built later by a different contractor. 8. Tree
And
branches
that's also
overhanging
same
my driveway.
valley.
9. Landscaping rocks in the road. 2 reasons. When monsoon rains fall, we get tremendous flooding for a while. Then it all soaks into the desert. Rainwater can displace rocks. And reason, neighborhood kids played in my yard under my tree. Again, southern Arizona equals hot. 10. Debris in yard. Again, monsoon season when the rain and wind stripped mesquite leaves, cleaned and disposed of even before arrival of the HOA letter. And what do I get in return for my HOA fees? Absolutely nothing. 0 amenities. No pool. No common areas. No parks. No playgrounds. No gated community. All we get is the privilege of busybodies driving around writing notices. I respond to some notices with photos, some with sarcasm. Have you ever lost any respect for someone instantly? When my oldest son was about 16, he had a very good friend who I will call Joe, who was half Mexican and half white. He came from a broken home, divorced parents. His mother was a drug addict and had, I believe, 5 other children with several different men. His father had basically just checked out of his parenting role. This boy was at my house constantly. I gave him rides from his house to our house. I took him to his driver's classes. He ate many meals with us, and stayed the night at our house frequently. He had no structure, no guidance, no one to teach him about life.
way.
Guess you could say I basically assumed that role.
way.
He was a great
So
kid and
that
I would
is
have done anything
east.
to help him. At one point, he had been living in a townhouse with his mother and just one of his sisters. I would pick him up from this townhouse and I would bring him to our house so he could hang out with my son and us. At some point I realized something was wrong with his living situation. The more I observed this townhouse when I was there to pick him up, something just felt off. He finally broke down and told me that his mother had abandoned him and his sister. He was embarrassed and he didn't want anyone to know. The sister had gone to the grandparents' house to live and Joe stayed at the townhouse, even after utilities had been cut off. I assumed the landlord had taken back possession of the townhouse, and Joe had nowhere to stay. I believe the landlord had disposed of the contents of the townhouse, including all of Joe's clothing. When I found out this had happened, I went out and bought him some clothes, the basics, nothing fancy, nothing expensive. I let him stay at our house for several weeks, and tried to help him figure out what he was going to do. He had discussed the military with me on numerous occasions and always had the utmost respect for my, now ex-husband. Although the war in Iraq was in full swing, we told him that there are many career fields that wouldn't put him in harm's way. We just had to make sure that he made a good choice using his career field.
Yeah,
Since he was a
I-
smart kid, I knew he would score well on his ASVAB tests, and we would help him to make a decision which career field to enter. My husband was retired from the Navy as an officer and he was very supportive of our young men joining the service, but agreed with my opinion that you need to make good choices in your career rather than just taking the biggest sign-on bonus. The day I lost all respect for my husband was the day that he realized I had gone out and bought Joe clothing. I don't know what my husband's problem was, but he hit the roof. A little background on my husband. He's a Cuban descent and came to the States as an immigrant at the age of 5, his parents settling in the Bronx. He was very well educated, a retired naval officer, and started his civilian career, making very good money, 6 figures plus. This was not a financial burden on us.
What?
He always called me a flocking bleeding heart liberal, which was supposed to be an insult, although I thought of it as a compliment. So, here he is having his tantrum over me spending it.
What? God of War. Yeah. What does that mean, little bro? But what's up? What's wrong? sounds French. Wow, Blaze harmless và em luôn mà. Oh god. Thì phải sao tỉa lag này. Low key we can make a coal farm. Yeah. With their skeleton. So I'll drop coal. Like XP now. You pose no threat to me, Blaze. Oh god. Is that a good thing? Yummers. quickly get to their school. That is just way too much work. Free the end. How do I free the end? Okay, fuck this. Oh god, I hate flying with this mod on. What? You serious? Oh my god. Em phải tắt cái mod bay này đi. Bay khó quá. Oh, it's so much easier. Holy shit. Oh wow. I did not know ruin and portal, ruin nether portal nó spawn trong nether đâu. Interesting. Oh, that's a bastion. Holy shit. I'm doing this now. Holy shit. Trong Bastion có the right scraps à? Breathe. cái thorium terraria có thêm class gì mới không? How does that do? That sounds fucking boring. Your mom didn't say that last night. Didn't know you were like that. Holy shit. Nobo was such an alpha like that. Damn. It's a lot of gold. Uh-oh. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. Shut up. Smithing templates. Ancient debris. A whole fucking ingot. Wait, low key khi đi Great Passion nó còn lồi hơn đi mine. No, we're getting fucking netherite. Một ingot và 2 debris. Một lone gold nữa. No fucking what? Are you serious? Are you fucking? That's just. That's just. Can you go into my stream. So check last known corpse, please. Thank you. God damn it. Do it real quick. god, nó chặt phát 4 máu ạ. Jesus. Có nhất có thể xong rồi em chọn file này tìm passion đấy. Let's take it. Cái code kia là ấy ạ, là exactly on that ạ. Thì anh chạy về nhà. Ok, anh chạy về nhà luôn cái rồi. Then can you come home fast? I need cần anh repair cái Elytra. Elytra ở cái chest, double chest ấy. Em lấy fireworks. Double chest ở gần cái dock. Còn không cháy ở trong bastion. Repair em đó, nó không có XP. Fuck. Được, cái máy. Drop me the light bulb. Fuck, warehouse. em bay mà đi cũng không bao giờ. Thời gian cô nào tính từ lúc trăng lốt à hay là lúc chết nhỉ? Oh, I think this is it. This might be it. This thing. No way.
It is highly complicated. There are...
This isn't the right one. The right one. Fuck. Are you fucking serious? Yeah. Oh shit, it's still here. It's still here. Oh god. Oh my god. That was so fucking tense. Get me the fuck out of this hellhole. Oh. 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 I hate this place. I don't like this place anymore. I like seeing grass. No, 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 no! What? How does fucking interacting with a chest aggroes them? Wait, can you escort mission? I was curious. There was a chest right next there. Okay. Oh, so at least now có exact coordinates rồi. Mang một đồ gold nào đấy đi, mang theo người đi. Mặc equipment gold theo người đi. Sẽ vào lấy đồ xong chạy luôn. Ở trong cái ở trong dưới nhỉ, trong stronghold anh phá đồ chúng nó ra. I don't have a pickaxe, so I'm just looking real quick. Okay. Okay, ready when you are. Chờ cầm chờ giờ ít theo. Thì ở trong warehouse. I have to take a wait. I put these on. Mặc luôn cái giày vào. Okay, let's bounce. Let's go. Right here. White cũng rõ bao nhiêu. Hermitcraft cũng toàn đấy. Đừng ra pro sẽ trái nhá. Hermitcraft cũng toàn ăn cá. For me that's just grind. Green. Pro ra khỏi pro cái dễ trái luôn. Có pick efficiency không? Đào luôn. I don't give a fuck on this pickaxe. There's 2 pickaxes there I need. Efficiency 5, 14 and shit. Back up. Smart. At least keep reset lại cái timer. Có mang tí gỗ nào? Gỗ trapdoor. Where you go? Đây có trapdoor, làm một cái trapdoor đi. Mine one by one cho nhanh. Dài. Đặt luôn một cái ở đây. Đâu cao lên. Đặt ở cao lên. Đặt ở giữa. No, đặt ở giữa để mà đóng xuống, làm sau mình cúi xuống. Ok. Start mining. Yes, bạn đang bật. Never close. Actually, kind of. 30 more blocks. Y sẽ là trừ 208. Mình sẽ sai một tí. Không đủ chết đâu. Trapdoor. X 208 thì dừng. Xong rồi là sẽ rẽ sang trái. Xong bây giờ cố open để mà ra ngoài. Cái đảo này 500 block thôi. Đấy, kết. Not a very free campsite có đường rồi. Nope. Just a ravine. I just không vẫn retrieve. Fuck! Retrieve xong cái này là mình sẽ phá cái Nerpo này đi nhé. God. What the hell? Where did we go? Đang ra đâu hay là thôi rồi? Oh my god, why? Morats vãi lồn đi. Sao cái rơi ấy? I hate the nether. Đang bò cái lỗ. Yeah, trên đường ấy retrieve lại cái trapdoor để nãy cái này em phá mẹ trapdoor. Make your way into the tunnel. Just keep moving away. Đừng có nhảy lên tường, không nhanh hơn tường đấy. Còn một ít hay sao ấy, tại rơi gần lava chứ không rơi thẳng vào lava. I can't make the bring a trapdoor, right? Oh fuck! It's mine. Okay, just make some. Bị sai người ta không bị đẩy. Hello there. Ow! Wait, this might be faster. Sao bị opening nhỉ? Just mine down. Mine đứng giữa hai block xong mine xuống. Đứng giữa một block rơi mẹ thẳng xuống. Mine enter. Mine into the wall. Just stand in the middle of the 2 blocks. I'll just be waiting up here. So nếu không chả làm gì. Oh man. Fucking serious? Block up 2 block xong bắt đầu đánh chúng nó ấy. Should be safe. Piglins à? Piglins với zombie piglins hay chỉ là piglins rồi? Oh, free camera. Forgot. Zombie piglins. Oh nice, okay. Thôi bỏ đi, nó cầm mỗi cái diamond chest plate, bỏ đi. Look up towards the lava, có quả tàu với cả con cái. Cố retrieve lần cái đấy. Yeah, I made one. Towards the lava. Thôi bỏ đi, đừng gánh mỗi diamond chest plate vứt mẹ đi. Yeah, tao với cả con cá lấy đi. Straight up. We're always making. Alright, just go. Check it. Không đi thôi. Thôi. Quá rồi. Thôi kìa mẹ đi, bỏ đi. Lên đi. Mất nhanh nhỉ. Just go some fucking apples. Let's go. Go through all this free camp. Chắc chưa vì nãy em tốn nhiều thời gian thế mà đi mà. Oh. Where to go here? Nhìn xung quanh không có gì cả. Cô đừng ở lái. Click cho nhìn qua được. This is exciting. Careful. Oh, the pickaxe on that. Khoan đã nhá. Người còn tí đồ gold nào không ném cho em. Còn tí armory gì ném cho em luôn đi. Không có tí gold nào rồi. It's in nether. Get used to it. Cái này thì chạy khác nữa. Chạy khác nữa nhé. Chạy xuống bên trái, thôi đừng. Đã cầu nữa. Bốn bao nhiêu này? 6. Có crafting bench không? Em đặt xuống em nhận phát. That's still on. Đừng mở một cái chest nào nhá. Pro tip. Go, skeleton behind you. Nhảy mẹ xuống. Trong người không gì valuable đúng không? Không much. thôi đấy rồi. Yes. What an adventure. So box is valuable. Oh fuck! I just accidentally opened the fucking chest again. Thôi thì mẹ đã mở sẵn rồi, thì loot mẹ luôn. Just gotta box myself in real quick. Okay. See. Lodestone, what does that do? Where the hell did my pants go? I'll make you I'll make you some more, baby girl. Don't worry about it. Xong thay một nether brick luôn đi. Netherrack smelt xuống thành cái gì? Mấy nether brick thì mới được một block. Có khi móc một nether brick đi. Một đống nether brick này. Smart cái gì cũng cho điểm kinh nghiệm hết. Nhưng mà cái XP bị trap ở trong furnace nên nếu anh dùng smarter ấy, no. Yeah. Fucking bulldoze this shit. And then clear out from that from so together. Probably not my fault. Cho lấy một fire spec luôn ông đi. Cook some meat for you. Wow. Oh, home sweet home. Oh, water, how I love it. Mình biết start making an EXP farm luôn nhưng mà sẽ không có team của Lean kia. Where's your xiang? Where's your xiang? Yeah. Đang ở village à? I'm not going through the nether, I'm just gonna fly there. Yeah. Tại sao farm như thế đéo TSD hơi khó. What the hell is it? Superhero landing, superhero landing, superhero landing. That's not superhero landing. What the hell? I'm lost, but I'm in the village. The fuck, I'll just fly up. Wait. What the hell? Em bay con mẹ sang một village khác ạ. Can I get the quartz, please? I have 9 rockets left. I can't fly that far anymore. I am 2,000 blocks away from that. Tại vì em không nhìn code, em cứ bay, em nhìn em mò theo mấy cái núi, em bay nhiều quá rồi, bay lệch con mẹ em mất. Oh, there it is. I found it. Nhìn mẹ tao nhìn lạ vãi lồn. Superhero landing. Superhero landing. Shovel. What? Không enchant gì à?
How to duplicate smithing template is a new item in the update that can be used. Second slot here in this has been worked in ability. Color will not change smithing template and keeps 2 smithing templates. The block will depend on the smith.
That's fucking expensive. Nhớ slab mending trên cái shovel này càng sớm càng tốt nhé. Superhero letting. Superhero letting. Gonna airdrop it in. Drop it. I want to see how fast this man. Oh, yeah. Someone efficiency 3 thôi nó đập nát hết con shot nữa rồi. Oh! Đánh có một cái địt mẹ. Mẹ đánh nó không đập chết em luôn, nhưng nó đập nửa cây xong rồi nó knock đúng 3 block chết. So many ways to die. Ways to die. So many ways to die. Fuck. Get away. No, get away. Shit on the bridge. Địt mẹ. Sticky fuck. He knocked my pants into oblivion. Không được. Nào. Mặt trời giữa con mẹ it's noon. Where my boots go? I lost my boots. Don't touch. Love making holes. Wow. Oh wow. Conduit gần giống kiểu makeshift vehicle. Người cứ dính nước là nó cho cái conduit power. Conduit power có haste. cao rồi kìa. Đây rồi. Đi nằm kia tí đi mẹ lên trường nữa.